Hello. We're about a week past the election, and the politics of hate is continuing by the left, of course, and not by the right. And this has been the meme that has been going on for way too long, and a lot of the people on the right thought that this would all end with the election. But it hasn't ended with the election, and we're still seeing seething hate by the left trying to map onto the right this hatred. And of course, it's completely and utterly false. And I want to give you a really good example of it. I followed Breitbart website for a long, long time. I followed Breitbart himself before he passed away. I think it was in 2012. And what a class act Andrew Breitbart was. And nobody could fill his shoes. Let's face that. Nobody could fill his shoes. But about the best job that anybody could do was done by Steve Bannon and the crew over at Breitbart. They really did a stellar job, and when certain elements seemed to go outside the realm of common sense, they let those elements go, because these people are kind, understanding, and magnanimous, and I've not seen anything but that kind of attitude over there. And the common sense element is what I like the most about them. The last thing that I've ever seen over at Breitbart is anything akin to racism or misogyny or anything like that. I mean, it's so remote. Now, also, in this clip that I want to show you about this hatred that CNN embraces and wants to seem to promulgate, long after a week after the election, they want to try to get people divided and hating one another when this is not the time. So they're going to attack Steve Bannon and give him names and labels that simply don't apply. It reminds me of Bashir, is it? His attack on Breitbart that day. It's so disingenuous. Well, let's just say it. CNN is full of liars, and so they get three liars on and one truthful person, and the three liars coordinate their lies and go after the truthful person at Breitbart. It's completely and utterly dishonest. Another thing that you're going to hear is this idea of alt-right. Now, I think every conservative around there, the alt-right idea, which was, I guess there's sort of some element somewhere that's calling themselves the alt-right. I don't know about them. And I've been following conservative websites for a long time. I don't know anything about the alt-right. It seems to me that the alt-right is a concoction, a label, an Alinsky-type label, made by the left to attack a straw man, something that does not exist, in ways that I guess a lot of people that keep listening to these people at CNN are going to buy into. But it's complete and utter lies. It just really makes you ill to listen to this as a conservative and somebody like myself who has not a bigoted bone in his body. I hate to echo Trump on this, but loves women. I don't think that this makes any sense, but to the left, it must make some sense because it's going to feed into their pre-existing hate, and it makes me ill. Because what's going to happen over the next few years is you're going to see people coming together, the division disappearing. And these people are going to keep as much hate going as they possibly can, as many lies as they can, on and on and on. And to me, this is really hard to listen to, really hard to take, only in the sense that I feel very, very sorry for the people that buy into any of this, of what Don Lemon is going to throw at you. Please don't. Stop the hate. Seriously, just stop the hate. Let's all come together. They want to keep this racism thing going. They want to keep the hate towards women going. It doesn't exist. It didn't exist. We elected Obama. It didn't exist. It wasn't about men and women with Hillary. She's a criminal as far as I'm concerned, and I think we'll see this if we go on to an independent counsel. and bring her to justice, because I don't think we can have justice in this country when certain people with a lot of money seem to be above the law, and that's not what our country is based on. Therefore, we have to go after her for that reason and that reason alone. So it's not about, and I think it was Trump that had the first woman campaign manager that won a presidential election. First woman campaign manager. Hello? Misogyny? She worked with Steve Bannon. Misogyny? But you're going to hear that word thrown out here as if it applies to Steve Bannon or Trump or anybody. So Kellyanne Conway is the person I'm thinking of. Give me a break. This is all lies, and it's meant only for one purpose, and that's to get you to hate. Remember that. These people at CNN have one agenda and purpose, these three liars that are going after this guy Joel at Breitbart. Their purpose is to get you hating as much as you can. Don't buy it. The general public didn't when they vote for Trump. They didn't believe the media, so stop believing it yourself and start giving people an ear. Start listening to any speech you can find, an entire speech by Trump, and hear it from front to back. Don't listen to the other people giving their opinions about Trump. Form your own by listening to him independently of them. Don't buy into the sound bites. Don't buy into this junk. I'm tired of this hate, and you should be too. I want you to hear these things, and I'll make little comments if I feel it's necessary. But you'll hear that hate all by yourselves without my help, and I hope that you are mature enough to know that these little immature people on CNN should be taken out to pasture and left there to pasteurize. Okay, all right, on with this clip.
Foreman, thank you very much. I want to bring in now Kurt Bardella is a former spokesman for Breitbart, and Evan McMullen, the independent presidential candidate. Sorry about that, Evan. But before we get to them, I want to start with Joel Pollack. Joel is a senior editor-at-large and in-house counsel for Breitbart News. Thank you, Joel. Thank you to the entire panel. But Joel, I'm going to start with you. Who is the real Steve Bannon? Is he an anti-Semite, a white nationalist, a misogynist, as many believe? But you said he's not an anti-Semite. Is he a white nationalist? My question: a white nationalist, a misogynist, or even bigoted in any way that you know of? Well, then why traffic in that if he's not? Is that even more insidious if he's not, but then he traffics in it?
Can you name for me, Don, one white nationalist article at Breitbart? Just one. I saw that whole build-up segment. I didn't see a single white nationalist article. Not one.
There's an article offending the alt-right, and also the alt-right praises Breitbart, and even he has said he is a platform for the alt-right. So, why traffic in that if he doesn't support it?
It's important to draw a distinction between covering something and defending something. We published an article several months ago explaining the alt-right, talking about which parts of it were more offensive, which parts of it were less so. And that's not defending the alt-right, that's explaining it. In fact, the title, I believe, was something like Explaining the Alt-Right to Mainstream Conservatives. That's journalism, that's not defense or advocacy. So I think it's very important to understand the distinction between those two, and that's a distinction we made very clearly at Breitbart and still make today.
I said traffic in it, I didn't say defend it. But anyway, so there's an article offending the alt-right. I said traffic in it, I didn't say defend it. But anyway, so there's an article offending the alt-right. I want to bring in the other members of the panel now so that they can get in on this.
Well, the audience that you're catering to certainly are those things. And so you're deliberately playing to that, playing to the worst divisiveness, the most prejudices, the worst racial divides to either try to get traffic or motivate people to support you. And I think that's despicable.
Look, just as you said, Don, Bannon is somebody who's called Breitbart a platform for the alt-right movement. He cannot divorce himself from that statement. If that weren't the case, then I think that we'd be having a different discussion. But he can say what he wants now, but the fact is that the KKK and the American Nazi Party are all celebrating his appointment. He said very truthfully that Breitbart was a platform for the alt-right movement. The alt-right movement is certainly a white supremacist, white nationalist movement that does involve racism. It just is what it is.
Here's what my colleague Anna Navarro tweeted today. She said, folks, it's real simple. Good, decent, inclusive Americans who believe in equality do not get praised by the American Nazi Party and the KKK. So the question is, why does the President-elect Trump want Bannon in the White House?
But the point of this discussion is whether Steve Bannon's a white nationalist and an anti-Semite. I'm glad that we've put that myth to bed. Now let's move on to talking about the country.
I don't think we put that myth to bed. I think that's still a question about it. Just because you say it, it doesn't mean that he's not. And I don't know that he is, but he certainly traffics in it when he says...
He made a business of it.
Yes.
He certainly did not. You guys can't throw out lies like that and ask me to prove a negative when you can't even prove the positive. I could say anything about you, Don Lemon. You know, your network had a commentator the other night who said that the vote for Donald Trump was a white lash. Now, are you a black nationalist network because Van Jones said that there was a white lash? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
That's apples and pears.
No, it's not.
You're
It's the
making
same
a comparison
thing.
that
It's
has
exactly the same thing.
nothing to do with anything.
You cannot prove the case you're making.
You're doing it. Someone who makes a comment on television in a discussion. Van Jones does not own a website that traffics in white nationalism or admits that it traffics in black nationalism or for the alt-black. So your comparison makes no sense.
Did you get all this? Apparently, Don Lemon is saying that Breitbart's site has trafficked in alt-right rhetoric, when, as you heard, there was one article written to describe what the alt-right is, probably to people like me, because I don't know what the alt-right is, and I'm wondering what this is all about. And I'm guessing because the straw man alt-right was being talked about a lot in the mainstream media that was trying to do the straw man demonizing of this very small group, I'm guessing, because I still haven't heard much about these people. But in any case, one article, and Steve Bannon then therefore has trafficked. Notice he didn't say he didn't defend the alt-right. He's saying they trafficked. That's a lot of traffic. One thing. That's a lot of traffic. Do you get this? Do you get how seriously hateful that CNN is trying to be in order to divide? Don't fall for this stuff. Don't be duped by it. Please, please, please. Okay. Thank you for listening. Bye.